Senator, I don't know that that's my role to have that opinion. I think my role is to develop the options that would deliver deterrence that, if decided to be declared or not, would be the most credible, capable.
Well, I'm confused because you're nominated to be the top cyber officer in the United States government, and you don't have any opinion on cyber policy or what's important. Are you simply a lever puller? I mean,
Donald Trump's top military nominees were just cross-examined by Democrats in the United States Senate, and these military officers did not handle it well. First, you had Lieutenant General Francis Donovan, who has been nominated by Donald Trump to take over Southcom. The prior four-star admiral who ran Southcom was Admiral Alvin Halsey, who refused to follow the unlawful orders of Pete Hegseth to start shooting and killing the people on the boats off the coast of Venezuela. Halsey would not follow the unlawful orders, and he was pushed out and forced to resign by Hegseth. So Donovan is the guy who will be taking that role. I also am going to share with you the cross-exam of another individual, Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd. He's been nominated by Donald Trump to take over Cybercom, the main cyber command. And during the cross-examination of this guy, General Rudd says that he doesn't have the ability to answer questions on cyber policy. The Cybercom nominee has no opinion on cyber policy, and the Lieutenant General who is going to be replacing Alvin Halsey to lead Southcom says he doesn't really know much about the Geneva Conventions. And to even talk about the Geneva Conventions in the Senate would be a hypothetical he's not comfortable answering. So, if you're wondering who the lieutenant generals are, who the people who are going to fill these roles after the massive purge of our top generals by Donald Trump and Hegseth, it's people like this. So, let's go through what happened. Hat tip to the incredible senator and veteran, Senator Tammy Duckworth. She's the senator from Illinois. She cross-examined this Lieutenant General Donovan about killing non-combatants, just randomly killing people who don't have weapons. And would that be a violation of the Geneva Convention? And she was incredibly disappointed and very concerned. And I'll show you what happens when this Lieutenant General says, "I can't answer your hypotheticals." Let's play this clip.
Ordered by the Secretary to shoot unarmed civilians with no observable weapons who were not presenting any hostile acts of hostile intent, would you relay that order down to your chain of command?
No, Senator.
Thank you. Let's do another example. If ordered by the Secretary of Defense to shoot harassing fire into a city or a village indiscriminately where we are not actively engaged in hostilities, would you issue that order to your subordinates?
Senator, I believe the hypothetical aspect of that question, I have to identify that that is a very significant, serious question that I take to heart, for the fact that the detail and the planning process to get to a point where one of those very hard decisions have to be made, that's a significant effort, a commander-led process in planning to ensure that all aspects of the operation take consideration, to include the legal advice of the legal counsel on that planning staff. My responsibility is to lead that planning staff. I don't believe that that situation you described, Senator, would be something that would happen out of the blue. The conditions had been set. The leaders have been given the authority, the rules of engagement to understand their rules. And I can't commit or comment on a situation that I did not plan, participate in to get to that point of the point of decision that you're referencing, Senator.
I think this is a pretty straightforward answer. Let me try a more straightforward answer. Do you agree there would be a crime in international law under the Geneva Conventions for the United States military to conduct violence toward persons who are taking no active part in hostilities or have laid down their arms?
Senator, again, I would like to really better understand the situation that is being laid out here and the staff planning process that got there to that position before we'd have to make that very hard decision.
Okay. Well, I'm really troubled by that answer because the specific examples I cited are not hypothetical. President Trump pardoned a former Army officer, Clint Lawrence, who was convicted of murder by a jury of his peers for taking these very actions against non-combatants. In 2012, Lawrence ordered his soldiers to fire upon 3 unarmed Afghan men, killing 2 and wounding a third, Lawrence was known to act with impunity. He pointed his weapon at a young child, ordered soldiers to fire from a tower in the general direction of villagers, and lied about receiving hostile fire, and even instructed one of his soldiers to falsify a report after the murders. And this is a man that Def Hegseth calls a good guy. These are the types of disturbing, lawless actions that the Def and the president regularly glorify. Trump has bandied the term hero to describe the likes of Eddie Gallagher, who posed with the body of a deceased teenager and who his fellow Iraq veteran said was, quote, okay with killing anything that moved, end quote. Let's be clear. President Trump is creating a climate in our military where lawlessness is rewarded, not punished. A climate where it is even realistic for me to ask you, what would you do if the president's secretary ordered actions that amount to war crimes? And it disturbs me that you could not answer those last two questions.
So then, Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts has her turn to cross-examine these generals about following illegal orders. And I want you to watch how evasive they are in responding to a very basic question. Is it sedition to question whether an order is illegal? Is it sedition to question whether an order is illegal? Watch what happens. Play this clip.
Military actions in Venezuela. You won't make policy decisions, but service members will count on you to ensure that they are not asked to engage in military operations that are not legal. Now, according to press reports, your predecessor had serious concerns about illegal orders. That was not the case with these strikes. General Donovan, is it sedition for someone in the military to question whether an order is legal?
Senator, in my 37 years of experience, received many orders over time. And when I ever have faced a situation where I need to seek clarity, I ask our headquarters to clarify the task. Then I come back and work on that with legal advisors, the core staff, the subordinate commanders, senior enlisted leaders, and then present my thoughts to higher headquarters for their consideration.
So I think what you're telling me is you have questioned whether an order is legal. Is that right?
Senator, I did not, what I believe I'm focused on here is that the legality of the order, we face orders, we carry out missions. And so in that planning process, we look at all aspects of each mission, each task, each order to ensure that we're structuring the command, the force, the unit to achieve the objective.
I appreciate that, General, but that's the question I'm trying to ask is it sedition for someone in the military to question whether an order is legal? And I thought I just heard you say that you had actually questioned orders and whether they were legal, and you sought advice. So I will ask it one more time. Is it sedition to question whether an order is legal?
Senator, I would not use the term sedition. I use the term basically our good order and discipline, how we approach any situation where we have to accomplish a mission and provide the best capability for the task at hand.
I'm sorry, I still can't understand your answer here. I'm just asking a very straightforward question. You tell me you have questioned orders in the past about their legality. Is that right?
Senator, I have questioned orders when either one, I didn't understand, I wasn't equipped to carry them out, and I needed clarity before I can actually execute those orders. That's
but you've never questioned whether an order was legal. You've never wondered whether or not an order is legal and sought additional counsel on that?
Senator, in our planning processes, I always have a legal advisor at my side as part of the planning process. So I always have leveraged those legal advisors to give me the best answer. In the end, I'm responsible for the final decision to carry out or not carry out that order.
I will stop playing dodgeball here. You know, I thought that was going to be the easy question leading to harder questions. Back in 2016, Secretary Hegseth was very clear that service members have a duty not to follow illegal orders. Since then, he has repeatedly made clear his contempt for legal review, including by sidelining military legal advisors, the people who are supposed to help you stay on the right side of the law. And what I wanted to know is how you look at those issues. So let me try a different version of the question. General Donovan, if your legal advisor tells you that an order is illegal, will you refuse to carry out that order?
Senator, the legal advisor is one of many staff members that will provide their advice as we look at the scenario, the situation at hand. I will take that very seriously if my legal advisor says that is an illegal order, and I will seek clarification from higher headquarters.
Okay. And if somebody higher says no, what are you going to do at that point?
Senator, then make a decision using 37 years experience to carry out that order or not.
Okay, but your intention is not to carry out an illegal order, is that
I will
right?
never carry a legal order, Senator.
I appreciate.
Then you had Senator Angus King, independent from Vermont, cross-examining Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd, who's the nominee by Donald Trump to lead Cybercom. So, you would expect the leader of Cybercom might have opinions on cyber policy. What else are you there to speak about? If you are going through a confirmation hearing as the head of Cybercom, you don't think a question on cyber policy is going to come up? Watch what happens as this guy's like, yeah, guess I can't answer that question. Again, if you were wondering who these generals and lieutenant generals are, taking the positions of the very qualified people who used to lead our military, it's people like this here. Play this clip right here.
Mr. General Rudd, one of the problems I believe in our cyber policy over the years is a lack of a deterrent capability. Our adversaries continue to attack us in cyberspace, going back to the Sony hack and up to Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoon, and there's never a response. Do you believe as a matter of policy that Cybercom and NSA should develop an offensive cyber declaratory deterrent policy?
Senator, I don't know if it's my role, if confirmed, to declare policy. I think what I can pledge to you, if confirmed, we would develop the capabilities and the options.
I don't believe it is your role to declare policy, but it's your role to provide the best advice to the president on policy. And my question is, do you believe that we should develop and have a publicly declared deterrent policy in cyberspace?
Senator, I don't know that that's my role to have that opinion. I think my role is to develop the options that would deliver deterrence that, if decided to be declared or not, would be the most credible, capable.
Well, I'm confused because you're nominated to be the top cyber officer in the United States government, and you don't have any opinion on cyber policy or what's important. Are you simply a lever puller? I mean, I really don't understand, because this is a critical area of defense. It's a vector of attack on this country that's going on as we sit here today. And you don't have any opinion about how we should structure our response to these attacks?
Senator, I think it would be most appropriate if, once confirmed, if confirmed, I take the time to make an assessment, get the inputs of those organizations, and provide the best military advice through the department and work with this committee.
Well, I'm sorry, General. I find that a very disappointing response. You've been nominated to this position for some time now. You're aware of the responsibilities, and this is one of the most fundamental questions in cyber, and your unwillingness to even discuss it. Remember, at the very beginning of this hearing, you responded to the chairman's question that you would give us your personal views, even though they may not be inconsistent with those of the administration. And I'm disturbed either way. Either you're not responding as you have committed to the chairman, or you don't know. And either one of those bothers me, because someone appointed to this position should have some familiarity and analysis and thinking about the position of this country in cyber, which is really probably the most direct threat that we face today.
And then finally, you had Senator Kaine of Virginia point out the types of things he saw during the classified briefings that he's not really allowed to share. But he said, I would want my colleagues here to ask some of these questions, and they obviously seem a bit rhetorical, about whether or not drugs were on these fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela, whether that was even a criteria to kill the people on these boats, whether any drugs were ever found on these boats, or whether fishing boats were just picked at random by the Trump administration in order to kill the people on the boats. I think when one of the boats washed ashore in Colombia, there was a trace of maybe marijuana, but not even cocaine on the boats. So, watch what Senator Kaine has to say. Play this clip.
I know more than I'm allowed to say at this hearing, but I would encourage all of my colleagues to get the briefing that I got about these strikes and ask the question in each instance. Was there any narcotics on this boat? Was there any evidence of narcotics? Also asked the question, is the presence of narcotics even a criteria that's used in the targeting of these boats? And I would encourage all of my colleagues to get the briefing that I got, because I think it might surprise you. The second thing, from a matter of law, General Donovan, this operation, Southern Spirit, Absolute Resolve, in my 13 years in the Senate, has been the operation that has raised the most questions about its legality. Again, what I know from reading legal opinions, I only know in classified, and I'm not allowed to really discuss them. But many of us have questions about legality, but it's not just us. The news widely reported the premature retirement of your predecessor as being partly motivated by his concerns about the legality of these operations. And he is not the only one. I'm going to read the title of a news article that came out a while ago in NBC News on November 19th. Top military lawyer raised legal concerns about boat strikes, and it talks about senior military lawyer for Southcom objecting to the legality of the boat strikes. The concerns about legality have also been raised by allies, and that should be important to us. It's been widely reported that the United Kingdom and other allies are not sharing full intel with the United States in the AOR because they're concerned that the U.S. is using that intel to carry out unlawful operations. And other nations in the region or in NATO that have been allies of ours have also raised questions about the legality of these operations. The questions will not go away, and they cause us grave concern.
Well, there you have it. And again, I believe that there are war crimes being committed by the Trump administration. There are war crimes, by the way, being committed by the Trump administration against people in the United States right now. Look at what they're doing in Minneapolis and in other cities and states, particularly blue ones, where they are invading with ICE. There are war zones, war crimes created by the Trump administration. But this administration is involved in war crimes internationally on a daily basis. I don't think it's an exaggeration for me to call it that. And when I watched the cross-examination of those generals, again, are you really seeing this anywhere else? Has there been any major media coverage of this at all? That's why, if you can, make sure you subscribe. Help us get to 6 million subscribers, because it's important we get the word out. What were those answers? How is that acceptable? Are you okay with that? Call me naive, but I don't like those answers. And I think it's incredibly distressing that those are the individuals who couldn't answer those basic questions who are going to be making these decisions. You may disagree. That's how I feel. Hit subscribe. There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe.